Before we begin this story, if you enjoy narratives that explore human resilience and the unexpected connections that can change our lives, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. It helps us bring more of these emotional journeys to you. Now let's begin. The bathroom smelled of lavender bleach and cold tile. It was a scent that Emily Carter would, for years afterward, associate with terror. She sat pressed into the narrow space between the toilet and the bathtub, her knees drawn up as tight as the sharp, stabbing pain in her left side would allow. The bath mat beneath her was damp, but she couldn't move. Moving meant making noise. Noise meant drawing attention to the fact that the apartment had gone quiet. Too quiet. Outside the heavy oak door of the bathroom, the luxury apartment in downtown Seattle was silent. The shouting had stopped 20 minutes ago. The sound of breaking glass, a vase she loved, a gift from her mother, had echoed like a gunshot before the silence descended. Now, there was only the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen down the hall and the erratic thumping of her own heart against her bruised ribs. Emily held her phone with trembling hands. The screen brightness was turned all the way down, a faint square of light in the windowless room. Her thumb hovered over her contacts list. She needed help. But who could she call? Not the police. He always talked his way out of it, his charm collapsing into apologetic sincerity the moment a uniform appeared. And afterwards, it was always worse for her. Not her sister. Her sister was 3 states away, pregnant, and already so worried. Emily couldn't bear to add this weight to her. Not her friends. She had slowly, methodically been isolated from them over the last 2 years. They thought she was busy with work, happy in her upscale life. They didn't know the upscale life was a cage with a very expensive view. A wave of nausea rolled through her stomach, originating from the deep ache in her torso. She needed a doctor. She knew what a broken bone felt like. She'd broken her arm falling off a swing set in the 3rd grade. This was different. It was a grinding, suffocating pain every time she took a shallow breath. The silence outside stretched. Was he gone? Or was he waiting in the living room, sitting in the dark, nursing the anger that seemed to ignite out of thin air? Panic, cold and sharp, began to override her reasoning. She just needed to tell someone. Anyone. It didn't matter who, as long as it wasn't him. It was a release valve for the pressure building inside her chest. She opened her messages, her vision blurred with tears of pain and frustration. She thought she selected her best friend's old number. A number that might not even be active anymore, but it was a reflex. Her thumbs, slick with sweat, slipped on the glass screen. She didn't want to type a paragraph. She couldn't explain the last 2 years in a text. She just typed the immediate reality, the only thing that mattered right now. He broke my ribs. 4 words. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The little "delivered" tag appeared instantly. Emily let out a ragged breath that ended in a choked sob of pain. She stared at the phone. What did she expect? A miracle? A savior charging through the door? No. She expected nothing. Sending the message was just a way to make the reality real, to stop lying to herself that this was okay. She almost threw the phone into the tub when it vibrated in her hand 30 seconds later. A reply. She stared at the unknown number at the top of the screen. It wasn't her friend's old area code. She had mistyped. A mistake born of adrenaline and blurry vision. She almost didn't open it. It was probably a "who is this?" or a cruel joke. But the sheer speed of the reply held her attention. She tapped the notification. The message was simpler than hers. No question marks, no exclamation points, just a statement of absolute certainty. I'll take care of it. Emily stared at the words. They made no sense. Who was this person? What did they mean? It terrified her, yet a strange, irrational thread of hope snagged in her chest. It was the most definite thing anyone had said to her in months. 3,000 miles away, in a small, meticulously organized cabin outside of Asheville, North Carolina, Jack Mercer sat in a worn leather armchair. The only light came from the dying embers in the stone fireplace and the blue glow of his smartphone. Jack's life was built on routine and silence. At 38, he was retired in the way only men who have seen too much too young are retired. 8 years in the SEAL teams, operating in the darkest corners of the world, had left him with a deeply ingrained need for order and a profound aversion to chaos. He didn't have social media. He didn't watch the news. His phone was for essentials, communicating with his contractor for occasional carpentry jobs, ordering supplies he couldn't make himself, and rare check-ins with the few former teammates who understood the quiet. It was 11:42 p.m. his time when the message arrived. Jack was a light sleeper, a habit that would never leave him. He was awake before he fully registered the vibration on the side table. He picked up the phone, his movements economical and fluid. Unknown number. Area code 206, Seattle. He opened the text. He broke my ribs. Jack didn't blink. His heart rate didn't jump. In his former life, information came in fragments, high stakes, incomplete data, immediate need for assessment. This was no different. He analyzed the message instantly. It wasn't a prank. Pranks had too many words, tried too hard to be funny or shocking. This was raw data. It was desperation distilled into 4 words. Someone was hurt. Someone was afraid. And by random chance, the digital winds had blown their distress signal onto his radar screen. Jack looked around his quiet cabin. His dog, a retired military working Malinois named Rex, lifted his head from the rug, sensing the shift in Jack's energy. Jack remained perfectly still, but his mind was already cycling through protocols. He didn't know who the sender was. A wife? A child? A girlfriend? It didn't matter. The threat profile was the same. Domestic situation, physical trauma, immediate danger. He knew what most people would do. They would panic. They would ask a dozen frantic questions. Are you okay? Who is this? Should I call the police? Jack knew that was the wrong approach. Panic on one end breeds panic on the other. If the sender was hiding, which they likely were, a barrage of questions would overwhelm them. If they were being watched, a phone blowing up with notifications could get them killed. He needed to establish control of the situation. Not control over the person, but control over the chaos. He needed to be a calm anchor in whatever storm they were drowning in. He didn't offer false promises. He didn't pretend to be a hero. He just stated an objective. I'll take care of it. He sent the message and set the phone down on his knee, watching it closely. He was committing himself. He didn't know to what yet, but the commitment was made. In the special operations community, you didn't leave people behind. It didn't matter if you knew them or not. If they were in the kill zone and you had eyes on them, they were your responsibility. Jack waited. The silence of the cabin felt different now. It was no longer peaceful. It was pregnant with waiting. He breathed in slowly, lowering his heart rate even further, preparing for whatever sat on the other end of that connection. He was 1,000 miles away, but he was now on watch. Emily stared at the 5 words on her screen until they blurred. I'll take care of it. What did that mean? Was this a dangerous person? A predator taking advantage of a mistake? But the tone wasn't predatory. It wasn't solicitous. It was flat, factual. Her phone vibrated again, making her jump so violently she bit her tongue. Are you safe right now? Yes or no only. The directness of it cut through her panic fog. It was an order, not a request. It demanded a binary answer, forcing her brain to focus on immediate reality rather than spiraling fears. She hesitated. Was she safe? She was behind a locked door. He was quiet. For the moment, yes. Yes. The reply was instantaneous. Good. Stay hidden. Do not leave your position unless the threat becomes imminent. Do you need immediate medical evac? YN. Evac. Who used language like that? It sounded military, clinical. It sounded competent. The pain in her side flared again, a hot iron against her ribs. She knew she needed a hospital. If a rib was broken, it could puncture a lung. Why? The responses from the stranger came with a rhythm that felt incredibly stabilizing. There was no emotional clutter. Understood. I am going to arrange transport. Do not call 911 from your device. It leaves a record on the phone he might check. I will handle it. I need your address. Just the address. Emily froze. Give a stranger her address? It went against every instinct of self-preservation she had left. But then she heard a floorboard creak outside the bathroom door. A shadow moved under the frame. The handle jiggled. "Em? You in there sulking?" His voice was slurred, heavy with the expensive scotch he favored. She stopped breathing. She pressed a hand over her mouth to stifle a whimper. The phone buzzed in her hand. A tiny, violent insect. Send the address. Trust the protocol. Focus on breathing slow. How did he know? How did he know she was panicking right then? It felt as if he were in the room with her, invisible, but present. The doorknob jiggled again, harder this time. A heavy fist thumped against the wood. "Open up, Emily. Don't be childish. We need to talk about your attitude." The terror outweighed the risk of the stranger. She typed the address of the downtown high-rise, her fingers fumbling. She hit send. Jack's reply came within 10 seconds. Received. Transport is en route. Estimated time 8 minutes. Keep the door locked. If he breaches, get low, protect your head and torso. Do not engage. Help is coming. Emily huddled tighter against the porcelain toilet. Protect your head and torso. Practical advice. Not everything will be okay, but instructions on how to survive if it wasn't. Outside, the footsteps moved away. He was going to the kitchen, probably for another drink. Jack's messages kept coming, spaced out every 30 seconds, demanding her attention, keeping her focused on the screen and not the terrifying sounds of the apartment. "What is your name?" "First name only." "Emily." "Okay, Emily, my name is Jack. You are doing well. 6 minutes out. Focus on the tile pattern on the floor. Count them. Don't think ahead." It was an absurd instruction. Count tiles while her life was falling apart? But she looked down. White hexagonal tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4. It worked. It forced her brain into a small, manageable task. The panic attack that had been clawing at her throat receded just enough to let her breathe. 4 minutes, Emily. They will come to the door. They won't use sirens outside. Low profile. How did he arrange that? Who was he calling? Jack, sitting in his cabin, had his laptop open now. He hadn't called 911. He had called a private security firm in Seattle he'd worked with before. Former military guys who did high-end executive extraction. He paid the exorbitant fee without blinking. He knew that if cops showed up with sirens blaring, the situation could turn into a hostage scenario in seconds. He needed a quiet extraction first. Legalities could come later. 2 minutes. You need to be ready to move fast when they knock. Can you walk? Yes, but it hurts. Pain is information, Emily. It tells you you're alive. Push through it. Get to the door when you hear 3 distinct knocks. A minute later, it came. Not a thunderous police pounding, but 3 sharp, authoritative raps on the apartment's front door. "Pizza delivery," a deep voice called out. It was a ruse, clever and disarming. She heard her partner grumble in the living room. "Did you order pizza?" he yelled toward the bathroom. He was moving toward the front door. Her phone buzzed. "Now, go." Emily unlocked the bathroom door. The sound felt explosive. She stepped into the hallway. Her partner was at the front door, looking confused, reaching for the handle. As he opened it, Emily saw 2 large men in dark jackets filling the doorway. They weren't holding pizza boxes. "Emily Carter?" one of them asked, looking past her partner. "Hey, what is this?" Her partner started, puffing his chest out. "Yes," Emily whispered, emerging from the hallway shadows. The first man stepped inside, smoothly placing himself between Emily and her partner, creating a physical wall. "Ma'am, we're your ride, let's go." Her partner grabbed her arm as she tried to pass. "She's not going anywhere. Who the hell are you?" The security professional didn't aggressively shove him. He used a wrist lock, quick and terribly effective, breaking the grip instantly. "Sir, step back into your residence now." The tone wasn't open for debate. It was the same tone Jack used in his texts. Absolute certainty. Emily slipped past them, out into the cool hallway air. The second man guided her toward the elevator, shielding her body with his own. As the elevator doors closed, her phone buzzed. "You're out." "Good job, Emily." "Breathe. You're safe for now." She slumped against the elevator wall, the adrenaline crash hitting her hard, her ribs screaming. She clutched the phone like a lifeline. She didn't know who Jack was, but for the first time all night, she believed him. The emergency room waiting area was a purgatory of fluorescent lights and coughing strangers. Emily sat in a hard plastic chair, clutching her side. The security team had deposited her at the entrance with professional courtesy, handed her a small slip of paper with a prepaid confirmation number for a nearby hotel, and vanished into the night. Their job was extraction, the rest was up to her. She was alone. The pain in her ribs was a dull, throbbing baseline to the high-pitched ringing in her ears. But the physical pain was manageable compared to the psychological crash. The adrenaline was leaving her system, leaving behind a cold, shaking void. Her thumb hovered over her phone. The urge to call him, her ex, the man who had done this, was a terrifying, irrational gravitational pull. It was the sickness of the dynamic. He was the source of her pain, but for 2 years he had also conditioned her to believe he was the only cure for it. Maybe if I apologize, her brain whispered, he'll let me come home. Her phone buzzed, cutting through the toxic thought loop. Jack. Status report. 2 words. No pity. No poor you. Just a request for data. Emily typed back, her fingers stiff. At ER. Waiting. I feel like I made a mistake. I have nowhere to go. Jack's reply came instantly, as if he knew exactly where her mind was wandering. Jack. You are in shock. Your brain is seeking familiarity, even if that familiarity is dangerous. This is a chemical reaction, Emily, not reality. Do not call him. Focus on the objective, medical assessment. He was right. It felt clinical, detached, but it was exactly what she needed. Emotional sympathy would have made her crumble. Logical dissection made her straighten her spine. Jack, when the doctor sees you, they will ask how it happened. You will want to lie. You will want to say you fell. Do not do that. Emily, why? I don't want police involved. Jack, documentation is leverage. You don't have to press charges tonight. You don't have to talk to the police if you aren't ready. But you must have the medical record state assault and not accidental injury. If you cover for him now, you erase the truth. Don't erase yourself, Emily. Don't erase yourself. The phrase hit her harder than the injury. She had been erasing herself for years, fading into the background of his temper, his needs, his life. When the nurse finally called her name, Emily walked into the examination room. The doctor, a tired woman with kind eyes, lifted Emily's shirt to reveal the blooming purple and black bruise spreading across her ribcage. Nasty fall? The doctor asked, offering her an out. It was a standard test. Emily looked at her phone, resting on the side table. The screen was dark, but she knew Jack was there waiting for the debrief. No, Emily whispered, her voice trembling but clear. It wasn't a fall. I was thrown against a bathtub. The doctor stopped writing. She looked at Emily, really looked at her, and nodded slowly. Okay. We're going to take care of you. I'm going to document this exactly as you say. An hour later, Emily walked out with her ribs wrapped, a prescription for pain management, and a discharge paper that validated her reality. Emily, I told the truth. Jack. Good. Secure the paperwork. Go to the hotel. Room is paid for 3 nights. Sleep. Do not turn your location on. Emily got into a cab. She didn't know who Jack was, a guardian angel, a mercenary, or just a bored man with a savior complex. But as she watched the city lights blur past the window, she realized he had done something more important than saving her ribs. He had forced her to save her own voice. The motel room was clean, generic, and blessedly silent. It was a business traveler suite on the outskirts of the city, chosen specifically by Jack because it wasn't the kind of place her ex-partner, a man of expensive tastes, would ever think to look. For the first 24 hours, Emily slept. It was a comatose, heavy sleep born of exhaustion and painkillers. When she woke up on the second day, the silence wasn't peaceful. It was deafening. She reached for her phone. 47 missed calls, 112 text messages, all from him. The messages oscillated wildly between begging for forgiveness, "Baby, I didn't mean it, I was drunk," gaslighting, "You're overreacting, come home," and veiled threats, "You can't make it on your own." Her anxiety spiked. Her hands began to sweat. She felt the walls closing in. She needed to answer. She needed to de-escalate him. Jack, don't read them. The text appeared at the top of her screen as if he had a camera in the room. Emily, how did you know? Jack, patterns. The 48-hour mark is the hardest. The silence feels loud. You're tempted to engage. Emily, he's calling nonstop. I'm afraid he'll find me. Jack, he won't. But you need to go dark. We need to secure your digital perimeter. Do you have a laptop? Emily, yes. Jack, good. We are going to do a digital extraction. Lesson 1. Situational awareness isn't just physical anymore. It's digital. For the next 2 hours, Jack walked her through a process that felt like spycraft but was actually modern survivalism. He explained how her phone's Find My feature, her shared cloud accounts, and even her Uber history were breadcrumbs leading straight to her. Jack, factory reset your phone now. Emily, but I'll lose my photos. My contacts. Jack, you can keep the photos in the cloud, but change the password first. Everything else, contacts, old texts, those are chains to the life you just left. Cut them. It was a painful command. It meant admitting there was no going back. With a shaking finger, Emily initiated the reset. The screen went black, then the Apple logo appeared. When it turned back on, it was a blank slate. Jack, now, go to a convenience store, buy a prepaid SIM card, cash only, wear a hat, keep your head on a swivel. Emily forced herself to leave the room. The walk to the store felt like a military patrol. She found herself scanning the cars in the parking lot looking for his silver BMW. She was terrified, but she was also alert. When she returned with the new number, she texted Jack. Emily, done. New number. Jack, good. This number is for logistics only. Job interviews, medical appointments, and me. Do not give it to mutual friends talk. Loose lips sink ships. Emily, you sound like you're at war. There was a long pause before Jack replied. Jack, you are at war, Emily. It's a war for your autonomy. The enemy is trying to retake territory. We establish defenses, we hold the line, and we rebuild. Emily sat on the edge of the cheap motel bed, looking at the gray carpet. She felt stripped bare. No home, no friends, no past on her phone. But she also felt lighter. The constant buzzing of her ex's demands was gone. Emily, why are you doing this? You don't know me. Jack, I spent a lot of years breaking things. Protecting things is harder. It keeps my mind quiet. Plus, you asked. Emily, I texted a wrong number. Jack, there are no wrong numbers in a distress signal, just received or ignored. I don't ignore. He was a ghost in the machine, a voice without a face, but he was teaching her the architecture of her own safety. He wasn't coddling her, he was training her. 2 weeks later, Emily was renting a small studio apartment above a bakery in a quiet district. Her ribs were yellow-green with fading bruises, still twinging when she laughed or coughed, but the sharp agony was gone. She had found a job as a remote copywriter, something she could do without leaving her safe zone. Her life had shrunk to the size of her apartment and the grocery store down the street. But it was her life. Her relationship with Jack had evolved. He wasn't just a crisis manager anymore. He had become a mentor, though a distant and rigid one. They had a schedule. Check in at 0800, check in at 2000. She found herself waiting for his messages. She started to imagine him. Was he old, young? Did he have scars? She realized with a flush of embarrassment that she was projecting feelings onto him. He was the sturdy rock in her chaotic sea. One evening, after a particularly lonely dinner, she broke the protocol. Emily, do you ever get lonely, Jack? It was 9:30 p.m., outside of the check-in window. No response. She waited 10 minutes, 20. Shame began to burn in her gut. She had crossed a line. He was a professional, of sorts, and she was making it personal. At 9:45 p.m., his reply came. Jack, focus on your sector, Emily. It was a rebuke, cold and sharp. Emily, I'm sorry, I haven't spoken to a real human being about anything real in weeks. Jack, I am not your friend, Emily. I am your spotter. Do you know what a spotter does? Emily. No. Jack. In a sniper team, the shooter takes the shot. The spotter reads the wind, checks the distance, watches the perimeter. But the spotter cannot pull the trigger. If I become your crutch, you don't learn to walk. If I become your friend, you start relying on me for happiness. You need to find happiness in your own secure perimeter. Emily stared at the screen, tears pricking her eyes. It was harsh, but as the initial sting faded, she recognized the truth in it. She was transferring her dependency from her abuser to her savior. She wanted Jack to fill the hole inside her. He was refusing to do it. Jack, tomorrow your mission is to go to a public place, a library or a coffee shop, stay for 1 hour, practice Cooper's color code. Emily, what is that? Jack, condition white, unaware and unprepared. You on your couch. Condition yellow, relaxed alert. No specific threat, but you are aware of your environment. You in the coffee shop. Condition orange, specific focus on a potential threat. Condition red, fight. Jack, you spent years in condition white ignoring the red flags. Then you lived in condition red, terrified. I want you to learn condition yellow, calm but aware. Go out, watch people, note the exits, note who is loud, who is quiet. Sit with your back to the wall. Then go home. Emily. Okay. Condition yellow. The next day, Emily went to a coffee shop. She bought a latte and sat in the corner, back against the brick wall, just as Jack had instructed. She watched the door. A man walked in, loud, talking on his phone. In the past, she would have shrunk away, terrified he might be aggressive. Now, she simply observed. He is distracted. Not a threat. Just rude. A woman came in with a stroller. Occupied. Safe. She realized that observing the world objectively made it less scary. When she wasn't trapped in her own head, fearing every shadow, she could see things as they were. She stayed for an hour and 10 minutes. When she walked home, she didn't run. She walked with her head up, scanning the street, feeling the wind on her face. She took a picture of her empty coffee cup and sent it to Jack. Emily. Mission accomplished. Condition yellow feels powerful. Jack. Good. That is confidence. It's not given, Emily. It's built. Brick by brick. She didn't ask him if he was lonely again. She understood the boundary now. He wasn't there to hold her hand. He was there to teach her how to make a fist if she needed to, and how to open her hand when she was safe. But back in his cabin, Jack looked at the photo of the coffee cup for a long time before deleting it. He petted the dog sleeping at his feet. The silence of the cabin was absolute. Jack, good job, he whispered to the empty room. He didn't text it. He couldn't let her know that he was proud. Pride was personal, and he had to stay professional. For her sake. Comfort is a dangerous sedative. 3 months had passed since Emily fled the apartment. The bruises on her ribs had healed into memories, ghosts that only twinged when it rained. She had built a routine, a small, quiet life that felt like a fortress. She walked her route to the bakery, she did her work, she checked in with Jack. She began to feel safe, and that was when she made the mistake. It was a Tuesday, a sunny afternoon in Seattle, rare and beautiful. Emily was walking through a small park near her studio apartment. The cherry blossoms were exploding in pink confetti. She felt a surge of genuine joy, a feeling she hadn't touched in years. Without thinking, condition white, she snapped a photo of the blossoms against the skyline. It was a beautiful shot. The Space Needle was visible in the far distance, framed by the pink petals. She didn't post it to social media. She knew better than that, but she sent it to her sister via text. Look how beautiful it is today. I'm doing okay, Liz. I really am. Her sister, relieved and well-meaning, shared the photo on her own private Facebook page with the caption, "So happy to see my sister smiling again. Seattle looks good on you, Em." Her sister's profile was private, but her sister had 400 friends. One of them was a cousin who was still Facebook friends with Mark's brother. The digital chain of custody was broken in less than 3 hours. Emily didn't know. She went home, made tea, and settled in for her evening check-in with Jack. Emily. Quiet day, worked on a big project, walked through Cary Park. Feeling good. Jack. Did you vary your route home? Emily. Yes, took the long way. Jack. Good. Complacency kills. Stay sharp. At 8:42 p.m., her phone, the burner phone she used for the outside world, not the secure line with Jack, buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Cary Park. That's just 3 blocks from the bakery where you buy your bagels. I always told you that neighborhood was too expensive, but you look happy. The teacup slipped from Emily's hand. It shattered on the floor, hot liquid splashing over her socks. The silence of the apartment was instantly replaced by the roaring of her blood in her ears. He found her. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't threatening to kill her. He was doing something far more sinister. He was showing her that her walls were made of glass. Panic, cold and familiar, washed over her. She scrambled for the secure phone. Her hands shook so badly she dropped it twice. Emily. He knows. He found me. Jack. Stop. Breathe. Report. How do you know? Emily. He texted me. He knows I was at the park. He knows about the bakery. Jack. I have to run. I have to pack. Jack. Do not run. Freezing or fleeing without a plan is how you get hunted. Lock the door. Sit down. Tell me exactly what the text said. She typed out the message. There was a pause on Jack's end. In North Carolina, Jack was already pulling up maps of Seattle, triangulating the location of Cary Park relative to residential zones. He was calculating exposure. Jack. He is using surveillance tactics. He wants you to run. If you run, you flush yourself out into the open. He isn't at your door, Emily. If he were at your door, he wouldn't be texting you. He's playing with you. Emily. He's going to come here. Jack. Probably. But not tonight. This is psychological warfare. He wants you to be afraid so you make a mistake. We are going to close the breach. Jack. How did he get the photo? Emily. I sent it to my sister. Jack. And she posted it. Metadata. The skyline gave away the neighborhood. The specific angle of the photo gave away the park. From there, it's easy. He probably watched the area. Emily. I'm stupid. I'm so stupid. Jack. You're not stupid. You're human. Humans crave connection. Predators exploit that. Now listen to me. We are entering phase 2. You are no longer hiding. You are defending. Emily. I can't fight him, Jack. He's twice my size. Jack. Conflict isn't just physical. It's about denial of access. We are going to harden your target. Do you have the door wedge I told you to buy? Emily. Yes. Jack. Jam it under the front door now. Close the blinds. Turn off the main lights. Leave the TV on low volume. It creates the illusion of company. And then, we are going to plan. That night, Emily didn't sleep. She sat in the dark, the rubber door wedge jammed tight, clutching her phone. Jack stayed on the line until 3 a.m., feeding her information on target hardening. He explained that security wasn't about being invincible. It was about being too much trouble to bother with. He was right. Mark hadn't kicked the door down. He was a coward who thrived on control. He wanted her to come back to him out of fear. Jack. He expects you to call him begging for him to leave you alone. Don't. Silence is your weapon. Deny him the reaction. 3 days later, the confrontation happened. It wasn't in a dark alley. It wasn't violent. It was in the middle of the grocery store, in the produce aisle, under bright fluorescent lights. Emily was picking out apples. She was in condition yellow, aware, scanning. But she was scanning for a monster. She wasn't scanning for the man in the sharp suit holding a basket of organic kale. Emily? The voice was soft, pained. She froze. She turned slowly. Mark stood there. He looked good, healthy. He wasn't drunk. He was wearing the blue sweater she had bought him for Christmas 2 years ago. He looked like the man she had fallen in love with. Oh my God, he breathed, stepping closer, ignoring the cart between them. I've been so worried. You just vanished. No note? Nothing. The gaslighting was a physical blow. He broke her ribs, he had terrorized her, and now he was rewriting history in the middle of a Whole Foods, playing the abandoned, grieving lover. "Stay back," Emily whispered. Her voice was thin. Please. "People are staring," he said, lowering his voice, using social pressure against her. "I just want to talk. I'm in therapy, Em. I stopped drinking, 60 days sober." He looked at her with puppy dog eyes. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. And I hate myself for it every day. But look at you. You look tired. You're living in that studio above the noise? I can take care of you. Just let me buy you a coffee. 5 minutes. If you want to leave after that, I'll never bother you again." It was a masterclass in manipulation, the promise of closure, the evidence of change, the just 5 minutes trap. For a second, a split second, Emily felt the pull. The apartment was small. She was tired of being afraid. Maybe he really had changed. Maybe the ribs were just an accident. Then a vibration against her thigh. She didn't need to look at the phone. She heard Jack's voice in her head, echoing the lessons of the last few weeks. Jack's voice, memory. Abusers don't change because of time. They change tactics. If he approaches you, he will try to merge timelines. He will try to make the past seem like a bad dream and the future seem like a paradise. He will skip the present because the present is where the pain is. He will skip the present. Emily looked at Mark. She looked at his hands, the hands that had squeezed the air out of her lungs. They were reaching for her now, palms up, soliciting trust. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She engaged the OODA loop. Observe. He is in my personal space. He is blocking the exit to the aisle. He is using a low voice to keep me compliant. Orient. I am not his girlfriend. I am a survivor. He is a threat. Decide. I will not negotiate. I will not explain. I will exit. Act. Emily straightened her spine. The pain in her ribs was a phantom memory, but it stiffened her resolve. She looked him dead in the eye, something she had never done when he was angry. "No," she said. Mark blinked. "What?" "No coffee. No talking. You do not have permission to be near me." She didn't whisper it. She said it at a normal, conversational volume. A woman next to them, looking at avocados, turned her head. Mark's smile faltered. A flash of the old heat appeared in his eyes. "Emily, don't be a bitch. I'm trying to be nice." There it was. The mask slipping. "I am asking you to step away from me," Emily said, louder this time. She stepped back, putting the cart between them physically. She raised her hand, palm out, the universal stop sign Jack had taught her. "Leave me alone." "Is everything okay here?" A store employee in a green apron asked, stepping into the aisle. Mark's face transformed instantly back to the charming ex. "Yes, fine. Just a misunderstanding. I was just leaving." He looked at Emily one last time. The look wasn't loving. It was a promise. "This isn't over." He turned and walked away. Emily didn't collapse. She didn't abandon her cart. She finished her shopping. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably, rattling the apples, but she finished. When she got to her car, she locked the doors and finally exhaled. She pulled out the secure phone. "Emily, contact produce aisle." He tried to charm me. Then he got angry when I said no. I held the line. "Jack, did you engage in conversation?" "Emily, I said no and leave me alone. I got a witness involved." "Jack, perfect. You denied him the fuel. He came for an emotional reaction, tears, anger, or submission. You gave him a wall." "Jack." "But Emily, listen carefully. He failed to manipulate you. Now his ego is bruised. A narcissist with a bruised ego is the most dangerous thing on earth. He's done playing nice. Tonight you need to be ready." Jack was right. The escalation matrix was predictable. Mark couldn't accept that his property had declared independence. The text messages stopped. The calls stopped. That was the bad sign. It meant he was moving from harassment to action. That evening, a storm rolled into Seattle. Rain lashed against the single window of Emily's studio. Inside, the atmosphere was military. Jack had Emily on a voice call for the first time. "Put the phone on speaker." Jack's voice was deeper than she expected, gravel and calm. It was a voice that had ordered men into battle. Set it on the counter. I want to hear the room. I'm scared, Jack, Emily admitted. She was wearing her sneakers. She had her keys in her pocket. Fear is fine, Jack said. Panic is useless. Walk me through your perimeter one more time. Door wedge is in, deadbolt is thrown. I put the heavy dresser in front of the hallway door like you said. Good. Windows? Locked. And I'm on the 3rd floor. Fire escape? Checked. Clear. Okay, now, listen to me. If he comes, he's going to come loud. He's drunk, or he's worked himself up into a rage. He wants to punish you for the grocery store. He wants to prove he still has power. What do I do if he gets in? He won't get in if we do this right. But if he breaches... Emily, look at the kitchen sink. What is under it? The fire extinguisher. Correct. It's not just for fires. It's a pressurized chemical distractant and a heavy impact weapon. If he comes through that door, you don't plead. You don't beg. You blind him with the spray. You strike, and you run. You run to the fire escape and you scream, fire, not help. People ignore help. Nobody ignores fire. It was grim instruction. But as Emily looked around her small apartment, she realized something shift in her soul. This was her home, not his. She had paid the rent with money she earned. She had bought the sheets. She had bought the apples on the counter. For 2 years, he had broken her ribs, her spirit, and her boundaries. Tonight, he was coming to take the last of it. Jack, I'm here. I'm not running out the fire escape unless I have to. Explain. I'm tired of running. I did everything right. I have the restraining order paperwork taped to the door. I have the locks. If he breaks in, he's the criminal. I'm the resident. I'm standing my ground. There was a long silence on the line. In North Carolina, Jack smiled. A rare, genuine smile. Copy that, Jack said softly. Then we dig in. Stand by. At 11:45 p.m., the heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. They didn't stop at the 2nd floor. They kept coming. Stumbling, heavy, angry boots. Emily stood in the middle of the room. She held the fire extinguisher. She wasn't shaking anymore. The OODA loop was spinning smooth and fast. Observe. Footsteps approaching. Orient. Threat imminent. Decide. Defend the position. Act. She dialed 911 on the burner phone and left the line open, shouting her address clearly before setting it down. The pounding started on the door. It was violent, shaking the frame. Emily, open this damn door. I know you're in there. Mark's voice was a roar, slurred and ugly. Go away, Mark, Emily yelled. Her voice was guttural, primal. The police are listening. The door is barricaded. You are not coming in. I bought this life for you. You are nothing without me. He threw his body against the wood. The door groaned. The dresser slid an inch across the floor. Jack, Emily whispered to the speakerphone. I hear him, Jack said, his voice ice cold. He's losing energy. He's hitting the door high. The wedge is holding the bottom. He's hurting his shoulder more than the wood. Hold fast. Mark screamed obscenities. He kicked the door. Splinters flew from the frame, but the wedge and the dresser held. The fortress held. You can't hide from me, Mark shrieked, but his voice cracked. It was the sound of a toddler having a tantrum, not a monster. And suddenly, Emily saw him for what he was. He wasn't a god. He wasn't a master. He was just a sad, angry man beating on a piece of wood because he couldn't control a woman anymore. Sirens wailed in the distance. Jack had called them the moment the footsteps started. Police! A voice shouted from the stairwell below. Drop it! Get on the ground! The thumping stopped. There was a scuffle. The sound of handcuffs ratcheting. A man crying. Mark crying, blaming her, blaming the world as they dragged him away. Emily stood in the silence that followed. She looked at the fire extinguisher in her hands. She hadn't needed to use it. But she could have. Emily. Jack's voice on the speaker was gentle. He's gone, she said. She sank to the floor, leaning against the dresser. He's gone, Jack confirmed. Sector clear. She closed her eyes. She didn't thank Jack for saving her. Because this time, sitting on the floor with her weapon in hand and her barricade holding, she knew he hadn't saved her. She had held the door. The flashing blue lights outside the window faded into the distance, taking the chaos with them. The police had taken a statement, taken photos of the damaged door, and taken Mark into custody. They had offered Emily a victim advocate, a card she tucked into her pocket with a strange sense of detachment. Now, the apartment was quiet again. But it was a different kind of quiet. It wasn't the terrified silence of the bathroom floor 3 months ago. It was the heavy, exhausted silence of a battlefield after the smoke clears. Emily sat on her couch. The adrenaline was leaving her system, leaving her limbs feeling like lead. She picked up the secure phone. The line was still open. "Jack," she whispered. "I'm here." His voice came back, steady as a heartbeat. "Did they secure the threat?" "Yes. He's gone. They said he had a knife in his pocket. He didn't take it out, but he had it." A long pause. "Then you didn't just hold the door, Emily. You saved your life. If you had opened that door to talk, if you had tried to reason with him, I know." She shuddered. "This is the hardest part," Jack said. His tone shifted. It was less command, more counsel. The after action. You're going to feel a crash. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to wonder if you were too harsh. That is the trauma trying to negotiate its way back in. Do not let it. "What do I do now?" Emily asked. She felt a sudden, desperate need for him to tell her what to do next, to tell her when to sleep, what to eat, how to breathe. "Now," Jack said. "We terminate the mission." Emily froze. "What?" "The threat is neutralized. You have the legal system involved now. You have the skills. You have the perimeter." "But I still need you," she stammered. The thought of the screen going dark terrified her. "No, you don't," Jack said firmly. "And that is the point. Emily, listen to me. I am a crisis response. I am a tourniquet. You use a tourniquet to stop the bleeding, but if you leave it on too long, you lose the limb. You have to learn to circulate your own blood again. You're leaving. I'm stepping back. If I stay in your life, I become a crutch. You'll start asking me for permission to live. You don't need my permission. You earned your freedom tonight." Tears rolled down Emily's cheeks. Not out of fear, but out of a strange, grieving gratitude. He was right. He was refusing to let her trade one dependency for another. He wasn't trying to be her boyfriend or her father. He was a professional who knew that the final lesson of survival is independence. "Will I ever hear from you?" "Only if you send the signal," Jack said. "But you won't need to. You're in condition yellow now, you're awake." "Thank you, Jack," she whispered. "I don't even know your last name." "Names don't matter," he replied. "Only the outcome. Sleep well, Emily. Watch your six." The line clicked. The call ended. Emily stared at the phone. She felt lonely, yes. But for the first time in her life, the loneliness didn't feel like a hole. It felt like space. Space to grow. 6 months later, the summer sun was bathing Seattle in gold. The gray clouds had parted, revealing the mountain in all its glory. Emily stood on the balcony of a new apartment. It wasn't the tiny studio above the bakery. It was a one-bedroom place in Capitol Hill with big windows and a locking gate she had inspected herself before signing the lease. She was different. Her hair was cut shorter, a sharp bob that framed a face that had lost the gaunt, haunted look of a victim. She had gained muscle. She spent 3 nights a week at a Krav Maga gym, sweating and bruising and learning that her body was not a fragile vise, but a machine capable of force. She wasn't afraid of the world anymore. She still sat facing the door in restaurants. She still scanned the street when she walked home. But she didn't do it with a racing heart. She did it with the calm assurance of someone who knows exactly what to do if the shadows move. Mark was awaiting trial. He had tried to reach out through lawyers, tried to offer deals. Emily had declined them all. She testified at the preliminary hearing with a voice that didn't shake. She looked at him in the orange jumpsuit and felt nothing. No love. No hate. Just indifference. He was a stranger. She walked back into her living room. On the counter sat the old burner phone. She hadn't turned it on in months. She kept it charged, just in case. But the silence was no longer heavy. She picked it up. She navigated to the message thread. It was still there. The history of her salvation. He broke my ribs. I'll take care of it. She scrolled down, reading the lessons, the breathing exercises, the digital hygiene, the castle doctrine. She walked to the mirror in the hallway. She looked at herself. She wasn't just healed, she was forged. She held up the phone and snapped a photo. In the picture, she was wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans. She was smiling. Not a polite, hiding smile, but a genuine, radiant grin that reached her eyes. Behind her, the apartment was bright, clean, and unmistakably hers. She opened the chat with Jack. She attached the photo. Her thumbs flew across the keyboard. She didn't overthink it. She knew exactly what needed to be said to close the loop. You took care of it. I took care of myself. She hit send. The final protocol 3,000 miles away. The autumn leaves were falling in North Carolina. The air was crisp and smelled of wood smoke. Jack sat on the porch of his cabin, whittling a piece of cedar. Rex, the Malinois, was chasing a squirrel near the tree line. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Jack stopped whittling. He rarely got messages on that line anymore. He wiped the wood shavings from his hands and pulled out the device. He saw the photo first. The light. The smile. The defiant, beautiful strength in her posture. She didn't look like a victim. She looked like a warrior resting after a victory. He read the text. You took care of it. I took care of myself. A slow smile spread across Jack's face. It reached his eyes, crinkling the corners. It was a look of profound satisfaction, the kind a craftsman gets when he sees a structure stand on its own against the wind. He didn't type a reply. There was nothing left to say. A reply would reopen the door he had worked so hard to seal shut for her. A reply would pull her back to him, and she belonged to herself now. His mission wasn't to be the hero of her story. His mission was to be the ghost that taught her she didn't need one. Jack pressed the menu button on the contact. Options. Delete contact, confirm. He pressed yes. The thread vanished. The number was gone. The connection was severed, not out of malice, but out of respect. He turned off the phone and set it on the porch railing. He stood up, stretched his back, and whistled for the dog. Come on, Rex, he called out, his voice echoing in the quiet mountains. Let's go for a walk. He stepped off the porch and walked into the woods, leaving the phone behind, leaving the war behind, content in the knowledge that somewhere, thousands of miles away, a woman was walking down the street, with her head held high, unafraid. This story isn't just about a wrong number. It's about the right response. We often think that helping someone means fighting their battles for them. We think love, or kindness, looks like shielding someone from the world. But Jack taught us a different lesson. True help is giving someone the tools to build their own shield. It's about empowering them to stand in their own doorway and hold the line. Emily didn't need a knight in shining armor to rescue her from the dragon. She just needed someone to hand her a sword and tell her she was strong enough to swing it. If you've ever felt like you were trapped in the bathroom, waiting for a savior, remember this. The savior is in the mirror. You have the strength. You just need to unlock the door. Thank you for listening to this journey. If this story moved you, if it taught you something about resilience or the power of the human spirit, please like this video and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that explore the depth of the human experience. Until next time, stay safe, stay alert, and take care of yourself.